All right, guys, 4 income-producing properties hit the market today here in South Florida. Let's review them, see which ones can make us money and which ones are not worth it. All right, first things first, just so you know, we are using 6.36% as the interest rate. That is what the Federal Reserve said was the average here in the United States over the last week, and that's for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, right? So let's go over here. Let's look at the prices, and they're all, I think, well priced today. Starting with a $690,000 duplex in Broward County. Let's write that down. 690. It's a duplex in Broward. All right. Do they tell us how much they're collecting for rent? They do. $2,600. All right. Flood zone X, which isn't bad at all. All right. It's the best kind of flood zone you could be in. Let's look at the quality of the product. All right. Well, this looks brand new. This looks pretty awesome. All right. This is nice. Oh, the bathroom is horrible, but apart from that, yeah. All right, so that's it. There's only 11 pictures here, guys. All right, now let's look at the quality of the inside. I got a feeling that there's going to be more to this property, right? Now, it's in Broward, Pompano Beach. It's got 2 3-2s, and they say that they're renting out this 3-2 for $2,600 in Pompano. They should be able to get more. Now, I am a little bit, my curiosity's piqued just at the layout of the property here, okay? The layout of this property. 2 units, yeah, okay. All right, well, they don't seem like they don't look to be in like any kind of like a distress, at least by looking at the folio number here. All right, $690,000. Now, what do I think that they could actually get for rent here? Now, let's look here, guys, and you could see here the rent prices in Broward County, okay? For a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, it should be $2,700. That's why I'm a little bit surprised, because they say that it's only making $2,600. I think that this property could actually make you a little bit more money. Let's put the price here on the calculator, $690,000. And taxes, what did they tell us they were paying for in taxes? $9,612, 9612, whoops, 9612. Square feet wise, 1,836 square feet. It's small for 2 3-2s, and that's maybe why they're only getting 2,600. But you should be able to get that for both sides. So if you're able to do that, guys, the total rent that you could expect coming out of this is $5,200. Now, that is good enough to make this property a 0.75% property on the 1% rule. Okay, so we're 3/4 of the way there. Now the question is, can we make more money? Right? Because so far, even the DSCR doesn't look that bad, that service coverage ratio. The rents here, would pay for at least the mortgage and then some. So this property should be able to cash flow on day one. Let's look here. Yeah, almost on day one, given saving for vacancies, repairs, and CapEx, it would cash flow after 1 year. All right, but it's really close to cash flowing. Yeah, the return here would be a 10.3% return at best, but let's not stop there, because I think that, again, given the quality of the property, it looks really new. You should actually be able to, I think, get $2,800 here for a 3-2, okay? Just the utility that it brings, and that obviously would increase the amount of money that you could get per month here, and that would actually turn this property into a 0.81% property. The returns would jump to 12.4%. Right? And it would definitely cash flow on day one. Now, that's not all, guys, because I think that you could negotiate some bit of the price off here. I think a 5% reduction would be feasible. So let's say some $30,000 that you were able to take off. And even if you could do that, right? If you could bring this down to $30,000 to $660, then the returns are really looking good. It'd be easy for you guys to get a loan, because now the DSCR is at 130%, okay? And if you go down here, you can see the returns could jump up. If we reduce this price to $30,000, and we could get $5,600 a month here, this property could give you returns as good as 13.5%. So not bad for the first property. Now let's keep looking. All right. Next property up is a $1 million fourplex in Broward County. Not a bad price for a fourplex. Okay, not a bad price for a fourplex. Right now, they're paying $15,983 a year in taxes. Whoops. 15,983. Okay, and square feet wise, 2,792 square feet, or $15,983 per year in taxes. They don't tell us how much they're paying in rent. Let's look at the quality of the product and go from there. All right, so box ACs, but apart from that, the property's been freshly painted. All right, on the inside, it looks really nice. Apart from the box ACs, you know, it's not a bad property. This gonna have to go. Look at the curvature here. You know, some remodel is required, but new kitchens. These floors, they look like they are the porcelain kind of a wood-looking floor, so that would be really nice if that's the case. Okay. And box ACs, I might hate them a lot, but like, I mean, you can make them work in some properties. And this property is going to have the space for you to actually put in regular AC if you wanted to do that. Yeah, this is gorgeous. All right, it's a fourplex. I'm excited for this property, guys. Let's look at the guts of this and see what we could figure out here. All right, fourplex, Progresso, okay. 421s. Oof, that is nice. So $1 million, right? One cool mill. It's a fourplex. It's in Broward. All right. Now they are saying that right now they are only getting, let's see here. Let's see. 1,600 here. They said they're getting 1,900 there and 2,050 there. That means that the total rents that they're collecting is $5,550. Okay. And that is not going to be very good, right? That's going to show us a return on investment here of 5.6% at best, right? But let's see here, guys, because we are in Broward County and the median rents for a 2-1, especially I think in that quality, should be considerably more, right? So you should be able to get 19. Look, they're getting $2,050 for one of the units. So why can't you get that for all of them, right? Maybe there's a problem with the property manager or whatever the case might be. But if you could actually get 2050 on each side, then the rent could go up as high as 8,200, right? Now, is this guy in some sort of distress? Let's look at the folio number and see if that shows us any information. No, doesn't seem, at least the folio number doesn't show that there's any kind of like tax liabilities here right now. Now, what's a price I think that you could get this guy to bring down his price by? I think it's definitely feasible to tell him like, hey, listen, like the box ACs are killing us. Your rents are really low. You know, let's take off like $99,000 and see where you go. If you could actually get rid of that $100,000, right? If you get rid of the 100K, this property all of a sudden would kick ass. You know, you would go up to a 14.6% return. And that is very close to, that's very close to an A kind of a property. So with that being said, that's the second property of the day. Not a bad thing. Go out there, verify the rents, and see if you can make this property work, if these numbers are actually accurate. All right, let's go ahead. Let's discard this. And let's get rid of the first one that we saw too. Yeah. Okay. So we are here, guys. $625,000 triplex in Broward County. All right, taxes they're paying $10,837. Let's put this on the board here. 625. All right, taxes $10,837. Total area. Let's see here. Square feet. 1897. And let's see. They don't tell us how much they're collecting in rents, but let's look at the quality of the property here. It's big. It's nice. Yeah, it's nice. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm not mad at this. Concern, these ginormous freaking trees. Whose side are they on? Would we be, here we go. Whoops. It looks like they might be on our side. And sometimes these trees could be a deal killer, guys. It could be a deal killer, but it could also be a reason you can negotiate the price down, or just have the seller go ahead and trim them down before you buy, considerably, right? Or you try to get rid of them, just because they're right next to the property. So nicely renovated triplex. Each unit has 2-bedroom, 1-bath, modern kitchen, stainless steel appliances, yada, yada, yada. Annual gross income is $59,000. All right, so they have a 2-1 rented for 16. So it's 3 2-1s. And again, we are in Washington Park in Broward County in Fort Lauderdale. All right, so now the question is, right, how much is he saying that he's actually getting for in rents? Let's look. He's saying he's getting $1,600, then he's getting $1,600, and then he's getting $1,725. Okay. That means that the best return on investment this property could give you right now, it's gonna collect $4,925 per month. And that best return is gonna be a 10%, matching the S&P, basically number for number. But I think that it's possible to get more rent out of this, guys, right? But at this price where we're at is 116% on the DSCR. So that means that this property is gonna be a little bit difficult to get financing that's not gonna be with really high interest rates. So again, use this information to try to negotiate 5 to 10% off, right? Any information you could actually show the seller, like, hey, I'm really trying, but your property, your numbers are just not making sense. You're gonna like push him into reason, and if he's reasonable at all, and if he's in any way motivated, he's gonna think like, hey, especially if he doesn't have other offers because interest rates are high, all this stuff right now. You could use all this information to try to push him and his realtor over the edge. Right? Like, hey, I'm really trying, but like I need a qualification of 125% DSCR. So let's say you took off 30%, right? 20 or 10% would be $60,000 more or less, right? 5% would be about $30,000. So even if, let's say, what happens if you would take off 25 grand, and now you're end up at 600, now you're gonna take off more. So 30 grand, so like let's say 595. So now you're at 120%. So you could tell them like, hey, what if we come down 30 grand here, right? Which I think it could be reasonable for him to drop 30 grand. And what if, right, with that being said now, you could actually increase the rents. Because check this out, guys. In Broward County, the median for a 2-1, again, is $1,960. These don't look bad. I think it's totally reasonable for you to be able to get at least $1,800. And there's proof here that he could get more, right? He got it for this unit. Why can't he get it for the rest? So again, it does require for you to do your homework and see if maybe I'm wrong here, but these are the medians in this county, and I think that you should be able to get it because the product doesn't look that bad, okay? So that means that the total real rents that you could possibly get here could be as good as $5,400, maybe even more. Maybe I'm, being a little bullish here, right? Where I think like, hey, like you gotta, be careful. So bearish, my bad. Anyway, bearish, bullish. Get those confused. I don't do stocks. I do real estate. All right. With that being said, if you would drop the price and you could get that increase in rent, all of a sudden the returns could jump as high as 14%. Okay. And it's really cool to see when you're looking at properties whose purchase price is smaller. Any small increments in rent and any small decreases in purchase price make a big difference on the return. So with that being said, another solid property, potential solid property today. Let's look at our last one here. Okay, last property is $575,000. And they are paying in taxes $8,244 a year in taxes. In square feet, they have 2,281 square feet. So it's a big duplex in Broward County. I'm interested to see, they said they're collecting only $39.50 in rents. Okay. Now, flood zone X is the best kind of flood zone you could be in. Let's look at the quality of the property here. And it does look a little bit old, like, I hate those ACs, but it's a central AC, okay? And let's look here. So it's 2 separate units. What I love about these duplexes in Hollywood is that they have a back alley, guys. So, it really makes it convenient. You could really separate duplexes out. And you could see like the way that it's laid out in Hollywood, there'll be like single family homes. and then there will be duplexes and stuff. So nice little neighborhood with like the king of the street, like looking back alleys. Okay, now let's look at the guts of this thing and see what we could figure out. A rare legal duplex in the heart of Hollywood Park, offering flexibility for investors, yada, 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 yada. All right, so it's a 2-1 and a 1-1, and that's the problem, right? The 2-1 they have rented at $2,300, and the 1-1 is rented at $1,650. And guys, I think that, yeah, that's accurate. You know, that's the most that you're going to be able to get here. Now, the space is so big, right? You could easily have like 2, 3 2s. The question here is, can you go in here? There's not a lot of pictures, right? Can you go in here and can you make it work so you could get more rents? But at the moment, guys, you know, when it's just that way, this property is not going to make sense. Unfortunately, at $575, it's a duplex. It's, again, all the ones we saw today are in Broward, collecting $39.50. Let's look at the median rents here in Broward County. A 2-1 rents for $19.60. The property doesn't look that good, so that's probably why they're renting at $16.50. And then, sorry, let me see here. They said they're getting $2,300 for the 2-1. Okay. All right. Well, that could be reasonable. Okay. The median is $19.60, but maybe the quality of the apartment is really nice, so they're getting $2,300. But then that means that the 1-1 should be renting out for a little bit more than $16.50. Maybe you could be getting like a little bit more than that. But let's say that's all they're getting. The best return this property is going to give you is going to be a 7.5, right? Now, if you could increase the rents here on this 1 bedroom to, let's say, like $17.50, right? And you could decrease the purchase price 10%, I would say, so to $525. What does that change? Well, it changes it a bit, but not a whole lot. 9%, right? And that would be decreasing at $25K and increasing rents to $40.50. So this last one doesn't really make sense, but hey, guys, this is where, like, you know, due diligence really matters, because I guarantee that I won't be the only one passing up on this one. Other people pass up on it. Sometimes it takes you to go out there and realize, like, dude, like, we could just put up drywall here really easy and turn this into like 3 2-2s or whatever the case might be. And then you end up with a property that is making some crazy cash flow, right? Especially these 2 different structures here. What if you could actually, right? Because the space is so big. What if, like, you could have, like, I don't know, 2 3 2s and a 2-1, right? So like all of a sudden you totally change the picture here. You have like 3,000 on one side, 3,000 on one side, and then like $2,300 on the other side. You end up with like crazy returns, right? Like 158% returns. But it takes this due diligence. Sometimes, like, if you're already going to be in the area, like, this property might be worth it, guys, because again, the square footage is so much. I'd be interested to see this property. So I wouldn't totally discard it. I would put it like an asterisk because it might be something worth looking at. So with that being said, guys, those are all the properties today. I will see you tomorrow and see what we can find. See ya.